Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. The Ministry of Civil Service conducts written examination and interviews for jobs announced in the Governorate of Al-Wusta. The Central Bank of Oman stresses on the ability of Omani economy to overcome problems caused by the drop in oil prices and expects a growth rate of 5% this year. And an earthquake of magnitude 7.8 strikes Nepal, killing more than 700 people and leveling hundreds of houses. Those were the headlines, and now for the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos has sent a cable of greetings to His Excellency President Dr. Jakaya Kikwete of Tanzania on his country's National Day. The works of the Afro-Asian Summit 2015 ended in Bandung City in Indonesia with a symbolic ceremony to mark the 60th anniversary of the famous Bandung Declaration, signed by His Majesty the Sultan. The Sultan's declaration to the summit was led by His Excellency Yusuf bin Ali Alawi bin Abdullah, Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs. On the sideline of the summit, His Excellency the Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs met His Excellency Yusuf Kala, Vice President of Indonesia, who conveyed thanks and appreciation of the government and people of Indonesia to the Sultanate for its supportive stances for peace and the human assistance is provided to Indonesian citizens during the evacuation from Yemen through the Sultanate. The summit came up with signing of 3 significant documents, namely Bandung Message, a declaration on reviving new strategic partnership between Asia and Africa, and the Declaration on Palestine. The Ministry of Civil Service conducted written examinations and interviews today for the citizens in the Governorate of Al-Wusta. 122 male and female candidates competed for 36 announced jobs. This come according to job vacancies announcement issued on 4th of March 2015, which includes 600 job vacancies in all governorates of the Sultanate at different ministries and government units, subjected to Ministry of Civil Service law and legislations. The examinations and interviews will continue till mid of May. The national economy has managed to deal positively with the decrease in oil prices during the first quarter of the financial year 2015. The Central Bank of Oman, CBO, predicted that the economy grows by 5% during the current year. The CBO also stressed the ability of the economy to overcome problems caused by the drop in oil prices, pointing out that the national economy shows good signs such as the decrease in non-performing loans in the country and reaching to around 2%, which is a good percentage as per international standards, in addition to the existence of big cash reserves in banks, which inspires confidence in the monetary system and its ability to meet the state's financial needs. The government bonds will be one of the solutions for the budget deficit. The main index of Moscow securities market recorded an increase last week by 90 points, benefiting from the rise in the shares of a number of leading companies enlisted in the index sample, especially in the banking and investment company sectors, amid increase in local investors buying, who acquired more than 90% of the total volume of trading. The main index chose at the end of the week's trading with 6,360 points, recording an increase by 1.4%. All sectoral indices witnessed an increase, especially financial sector, which rose by 126 points, and the industrial sector by 120 points. Latest collective statistics showed that the profitability of banks enlisted in Moscow securities market (MSM) has developed during the first quarter of current year compared to the same period last year. The growth rate of the results of 8 banks enlisted in MSM mounted to 10%, exceeding 81.7 million Omani riyals. They achieved together during the first quarter of the current year, compared to profits of around 74 million riyals during the same period last year. Still to come in our news bulletin. Thousands honor the soldiers on the 100th year of Gallipoli battle. to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. A powerful earthquake struck Nepal today, killing at least 718 people across a swath of 4 countries as the violently shaking earth collapsed houses, leveled centuries-old temples and triggered avalanche on Mountain Everest. It was the worst tremor to hit the poor South Asian nation in over 80 years. At least 688 people were confirmed dead in Nepal, according to the police. Another 20 were killed in India, 6 in Tibet and 2 in Bangladesh. 2 Chinese citizens died at the Nepal-China border. Given the scale of the destruction, the death toll is almost certain to rise. It was a few minutes before noon when the quake, with a preliminary magnitude of 7.8, began to rumble across the densely populated Kathmandu Valley, rippling through the capital Kathmandu and spreading in all directions. At least 38 people were killed in Yemen today as fighting raged in southern towns between rebels and loyalists of exiled President Abdurrahman Mansour Hadi. At least 7 Hadi loyalists and 22 Houthi rebels were killed in dawn clashes in the south of Dala. North of the main southern city of Aden, pro-Hadi militiamen destroyed 2 rebel tanks, 3 troop carriers and an armored vehicle. Farther east in lower, militiamen killed 9 rebels in a rocket-propelled grenade attack. The United Nations envoy to Syria said he will begin meeting in May with the country's government, opposition groups and regional powers, including Iran, to assess by the end of June whether there is any hope broking an end to the war. Staffan de Mistura briefed the UN Security Council on the latest bid to find a political solution to the 4-year conflict that has killed some 220,000 people, displaced an estimated 7.6 million and forced nearly 4 million to flee the country. 3 suicide bombers attacked a border crossing between western Iraq and Jordan today, killing at least 4 Iraqi security personnel and wounding 8 others. The bombers detonated explosive-rigged vehicles, one of them a lorry, at 3 successive checkpoints at the Torabil crossing. The deputy head of the crossing confirmed the attack took place, with the officer blaming it on Daesh group. Leaders and dignitaries from Australia, New Zealand and Turkey led thousands at the ceremony at Lone Pine on Turkey's Gallipoli Peninsula today to mark the 100th anniversary of a World War I battle that helped shape their nations. Fighting at Lone Pine came more than 100 days after bloody landings on the Gallipoli Peninsula, a campaign that would eventually claim more than 130,000 lives, 87,000 of them on the Ottoman side. The elite forces also included British, Irish, French, Indians, Gurkhas and Canadians. Approximately 58,000 Allied soldiers died, roughly half of them from Britain and Ireland, according to the Gallipoli Association. Only 11,000 have been known on the graves of the Gallipoli Peninsula. Others simply have their names inscribed on memorials. Despite its reputation as a holiday destination, Cornwall is one of the poorest regions of Britain. Residents are grappling with cuts in social welfare and are turning in growing numbers of charity-run food banks to survive. More details in the following report.
The beautiful coast of Cornwall, England's southwestern tip, is famous for its beaches and expensive holiday homes. But a few miles inland and it's a different reality. This is now one of the poorest regions of Britain. Steve moved here from Manchester 9 years ago when his partner became pregnant. He can't find a job and he gets by on dwindling state benefits.
Since his government, Conservative, well, coalition government has come through, it's got worse. Really has, drastically. I mean, he wasn't perfect when the old government was in, but as soon as David Cameron come into power, that's when it all went downhill.
Steve's unemployment benefit was suspended for 5 weeks when a job centre refused to allow him to reschedule an appointment, so he had to turn to a local food bank to feed himself and his children. He now volunteers there and hears countless stories from others about benefits being cut or suspended for the smallest of reasons.
We just can't survive, we'll have to pay money on rent, we'll have electric, gas, central heating to pay for, and we just can't pay for everything that we have, so we come here every week and get help.
When the Camborne Food Bank was set up in 2009 amid the financial crisis, it provided 140 meals a month. It now serves 10,000. And despite the economy improving, privately funded food banks are appearing across the country. Britain's main food bank trust says the number of people it helps has risen more than 200% in the past 2 years.
We started it as a sticking plaster, just to help people through, perhaps they had to have their car repaired, perhaps they had a big electric bill, and just to help them over those hurdles. But it's gone on tremendously from there, and it's almost a way of life now.
This was once a vibrant community. Tin mining provided employment for thousands of people, but the jobs disappeared when the mines closed in the late 1980s. Of the jobs that remain, many are seasonal or are paid less than the minimum wage. Average salaries here are 5 times lower than in London.
We had a major financial crisis some years ago, and I completely understand that that's something that we need to address. But I do think there is a concern from some people in this country that would say that no political party is putting forward many proposals or suggestions to address the basic inequality that's around in our country, and that I think the figures would show has become worse over the years.
The campaign for the general election on the 7th of May is a time to look to the future. But as the clouds roll in and the waves pick up, the rugged beauty of Cornwall's nature is symbolic of this region's bleak outlook.
Now for the general weather forecast. Clear skies will prevail off the Sultanate with chances of low clouds and fog during late night and early morning on the coast of the Governorate of South Sharqiya and Al Wusta. Winds will be northeasterly light to moderate along the coastal areas of Sea of Oman, and it will be northwesterly to westerly light to moderate along the rest of the Sultanate. Seas will be slight to moderate along the south-eastern coast with a maximum wave height of 1.5 meters, while along the rest of the coast it will be slight with a maximum wave height of 1 meter. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The Ministry of Civil Service conducts written examination interviews for job announced in the Governorate of Al Wusta. The Central Bank of Oman stresses on the ability of Omani economy to overcome problems caused by the drop in oil prices and expect the growth rate of 5% this year. And an earthquake of magnitude 7.8 strikes Nepal, killing more than 700 people and leveling hundreds of houses. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studio, thank you for watching and good night.